Over the last few days, I have been playing on the Meta Quest 3S. Now, this is Meta's latest headset, and I'm not a super technical person. I mean, this is my upgrade from the PlayStation VR 1. But from my understanding,
probably a night and day difference, I bet.
But from my understanding, the Meta Quest 3 is the kind of flagship device, and the brand new Meta Quest 3S is a budget version. Think of it maybe sort of like an Xbox Series S, but the difference is that the internals, kind of the computer running the thing, is actually the same as the Meta Quest 3. But the build and some of the kind of like the way that the lenses are and inside and stuff are from the Meta Quest 2. So, you might be losing a little bit of image quality as opposed to the Meta Quest 3, but that it's hit or miss based on how picky of a VR consumer you are. Now, that being said, as an owner of Meta Quest 3S, I also own a copy of Batman Arkham Shadow, which before anyone goes I have not touched yet, because there's another game that I want to, Condemned Criminal Origins is a game that I have to get through first. So I've been saving Batman Arkham Shadows for a little bit later, and also it works out better because this is going to be my full kind of hands-on first impressions with the Meta Quest 3S, and then we'll have a separate discussion later on about Batman, which I'm sure I'll inevitably love. But that being said, I have spent a few hours in virtual reality, Nick, and it's so interesting because, like I said, I've played the PlayStation VR, and the PlayStation VR is very much so a gaming headset, right? So you put it on and you're playing it, you're booting up a game and you're playing it. This is a bit different. You can wear it a little bit more casually and do things that, more intuitively than on a PlayStation VR headset, for example. So what have I been doing? Thank you for asking, Nick. I have been checking out a few different random games from the Meta Quest Plus or whatever, which is another, like, it's a membership thing, the kind of like the PS Plus thing, but it comes for free for the first few months when you get a Meta Quest 3S. So I downloaded a few games. First game I had to try, Fruit Ninja VR, and would you believe me when I say it's really fun? It's very like realistic.
I imagine
it's very realistic and like accurate. So like I'm out there just chopping at some of these fruits, and I get frustrated with the bombs. So I've just gone into Zen mode, and I'm just kind of Zen moding it out in Fruit Ninja, which honestly I expected to boot it up once and be like, oh, this is cool, and then get rid of it. But no, it's I'm returning to this thing.
Now you've had 8 hours put into Fruit Ninja, is that correct?
yeah. I've platinumed Fruit Ninja on the Meta Quest 3S. Oh, I should also say, I think that, if we're talking about first impressions, right? The putting this thing on and experiencing the pass through, that has actually been the craziest thing for me. So the Meta Quest 3S, I mean, it's the same thing with the 3, but it has all these cameras in the front. And another thing, my God, Nick, I'm all my notes that I've taken are coming back to me here. Again, going from the PlayStation VR, where you had to have the controllers with these big orbs that are glowing. You have to have the PlayStation VR camera set up, or if it's not optimally set up, it doesn't really give you good results. There's none of that here. All of the computing is done inside the headset, and the cameras that you see are both for kind of mapping out where you are in real life, but also for the pass through. And now what the pass through enables is you can put on the headset and you can see everything in front of you in reality. It's a little bit grainy if it's like a low light, because the cameras aren't like top, like they're not 4K or anything. But that being said, you can see everything, and then you can have digital screens come up and you can move them around at your leisure. and there's 2 controllers, the very, very small controllers that the MetaQuest 3S comes with. But Nick, you don't even need to use the controllers. You can drop the controllers, and it starts tracking your hands, and you can just kind of put the, again, because of those cameras on the front, you can put your hands down, and by tapping your index finger and thumb, you can interact with the menus and everything in the game, or sorry, in the headset. So earlier today, I spent a decent time. I was again, I'm going to get to some of the games and stuff in a second, but I had a movie up on a screen on one screen, and I was like, oh, I can make this bigger. So I just kind of made it bigger, and I had a big screen on one side, and then I had a browser on the other, and I was like looking at. I went to Respawn Station. I was like, oh, we're looking good, and it really is sort of that same experience that I had with the Apple Vision Pro, but at a kind of a noticeably reduced scale, and like it's not the same fidelity or anything, but still like it's there, like it's almost there. And I think the sacrifices that are made for dropping an entire zero from the price tag, by the way, from 3,000 to 300, it's totally worth it. But to talk about the games again. And by the way, Nick, if you have any questions about this MetaQuest 3S, feel free to shoot them at me. I'll try my best to answer them. But
sure.
To kind of actually, I'll walk you through some of the headset too, because so first of all, there's no headphone jack in this headset. So the only way you can connect it to Bluetooth via audio, but I have actually not even been doing that. The headset on the side actually has these built-in speakers that are aimed down at your ears. So without having headphones on, you still get the same kind of audio experience, which I found like completely works perfectly fine. Like I don't feel like, and I'm not really playing games. Maybe for Batman, I'll put on, Bluetooth headphones, but for most of the games I've been playing, it's been perfectly usable. And these straps are a little bit, the whole thing takes a bit to get used to and kind of finagle to your liking. But once you do, it becomes pretty intuitive after that. With that said, what else have I been playing? There's a game called Zombieland. I think it's called like Headshot Challenge or something like that. Headshot something. As a fan of the Zombieland movies, I had no idea what this was, but again, it was part of MetaQuest Plus or whatever. So I was like, let's see what it is. It really thrown off by the fact that it has like sort of similar looking people from the movie. Like it has like Jesse Eisenberg, but it's not quite him. And then it's like Woody Harrelson, but it's not quite him. And Emma Stone, but it's not quite her. But like to add to that effect, the voice actors that they hired are not the actors, but they are doing impressions almost of the actors. Like Emma Stone, it's like, oh, that's like almost Emma Stone. But it's not. And so in a way, it almost matches the fact that you're looking at someone who's almost like Emma Stone and they're almost speaking like Emma Stone, but nothing's right. That being said, the game itself is sort of like this, Nick, in Modern Warfare, or I guess Modern Warfare 2 as well, there's those like, speed trials, or like how you determine the difficulty, right? Like you have to go through the courses and stuff. Imagine that, but with the zombies, and that's the game. It's just multiple versions of those. That's the Zombieland game. So I imagine it's fun in short bursts because I have to. I mean, I played like 3 houses or whatever, and I was like, that's fine. I get it. I get the gist here. But
do you control your character, or does it like go on rails? Like
it's on rails. So you essentially like once you start an area, you have your gun in one hand, you can have a secondary weapon in your other, and once you hit A to start, as soon as you like clear an area, you can look at the spot on the floor where the next kind of checkpoint is, and it kind of walks you there. And that's how you keep progressing. And so the goal is to kind of get faster times and part of the getting faster times isn't just shooting the zombies, it's getting headshots, as the title of the game suggests. Again, I haven't really said the title of the game because it's like headshot something, but headshots in the name of the game. So if you get headshots, you get like time slows down, giving you more time to do kind of cool stuff. there's also other enemies. So like some enemies will, they're called throwers. So they'll throw stuff at you and you have to kind of shoot those out of the way before they get to you. It's all pretty straightforward. I mean, like like when your gun has 7 bullets to start, and when you to reload, you use the thumbstick to drop the mag, and then you kind of tuck it into your belt area, and it reloads the gun. So it's very, you're not kind of like laboriously like intricate like reload mechanisms. It's pretty straightforward, and the goal is to get to the end as fast as you can. So.
I believe it's Zombieland VR Headshot Fever.
Headshot Fever. Wow. You know what, Nick? You could have asked me what that second word was, and I would have not gotten to fever. I'll tell you that. But no, it's decent. It's just like it's. I mean, it's not a game that I think I would have gone out of my way to play. Even as like someone who enjoyed the Zombieland movies, but as as something that was thrown into the MetaQuest Plus, it's a decent one to try. Now, along with both of those, there's one other thing I went into, Nick, and that's Meta Horizons, which is essentially Meta's like hub for their VR kind of content. And so what you can do is, I imagine it's kind of like PlayStation Home. At least that's what it is in my head, where it's, you have this avatar that you make, and you can go through and play different games and stuff, like mini games and stuff within Meta Horizons. So you can join different rooms, and different rooms have different worlds have different kind of games. So I first joined one that was like walk around mini golf. And so I was like, let me see that. And immediately, Nick, I was thrust upon the VR world like I was never before. I mean, first of all, the
kicked you off the cliff.
Yeah, quite literally. The headset has, a mic, and it tracks, your kind of movement. And so you're into this virtual world, and, people are walking around. There's a French guy that started just yelling at me, trying to tell me where to shoot the golf. And the paddles were it's paddle golf. So it's not even real golf. You're just kind of smacking a ball with a paddle. And I was like, this isn't fun at all. I need something more familiar. So I switched to a different map, a different game that was called Guns. That's all I really saw, and I was like, "Oh, join the world! All right, I'll go in there." And essentially, it's a free for all where you have, you can pick up guns that kind of spawn around the map, and it's a free for all, Nick. And so you're just shooting. Mm-hmm. But again, it's weird because the mic is on, so like I'm I'm struggling to fucking find a gun. And I'm like, where are these goddamn guns? And someone's like, oh man, you got to get those guns. I was like, what are you? Oh shit, you can hear me in this endeavor. And what it ended up is, Nick, I've found out that I'm absolutely garbage at this game, but I have a way with people because people gave me free guns because I was doing so poorly. Like my enemies stopped shooting at me, Nick, to bring me a weapon so that I may at least attempt to kill someone else. It was a learning curve, but honestly, that was actually super fun. I played like 20 minutes of that in that lobby, 25 minutes or something. And it was just kind of chatting with people and, like playing the game. It feels like Call of Duty, but if you're really bad, so you just kind of have to like talk your way through it. But overall, I think if that was my intro to the what the MetaQuest 3S offers, the doorway that has now opened up for me, I'm cautiously excited to see where it goes. Look, I'm not going to go hopping into Meta Horizons all the time, but some of the people I did meet were cool. The ones that weren't yelling at me in French. They could have been yelling nice things at me in French for sure. I just don't know if I don't know if that was the case. But oddly enough, the community of Guns was very welcoming. And so I'll report back if I go to any kind of memorable worlds. But for now, just general first impressions on the MetaQuest 3S. It's a solid headset. And for the value that you get, it's awesome. I know that it's a downgrade from the MetaQuest 3 kind of in terms of the visuals. But again, if you're like me and you're coming from a low headset, like a PlayStation VR, a beginner headset in terms of like the VR generation, or if you just don't have a VR headset and you're like, hey, this is my intro into this world, this is the headset to get, I think. It's totally worth it. I got, this is the 128 gig version, and I have a few games on here, not filling up yet. So Call of Duty isn't on here, so we don't have one game that can take up the entire hard drive. So far, I'm liking it, and I'll be playing more, so you'll hear about it more. All you got to do is subscribe.